You didn't have Caballero on the team yet. You didn't have Chisholm playing at his level yet. Like, there was a lot of things that weren't going on with this Yankee team that are now going on.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. I'm Stacey Gotsulias. He's Brian McKeon. We will be previewing the division series between the Yankees and the Blue Jays. This was the matchup people were hoping to see. What are your initial thoughts before we get into the meat of the preview?
Actual confidence, like legitimate confidence.
Interesting. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So download the app today. On today's show, we're going to talk about the other division series later in the show, because those are happening, and they could be Yankee opponents if the Yankees make it past this division series. So we might as
Hopefully
well
they will be.
Talk about those other teams. But the main point of this episode is to have a preview of the division series between the Yankees and Blue Jays, who both finished with the same record, even though the Blue Jays won the season series. But things are different now.
100%. 100%. I think it all is kind of highlighted on that series in August when they played each other, and the Blue Jays obviously swept them in Toronto. That was a series that everyone kind of looks back on and thought, oh boy, I remember the shows that we did after that. It was the notion around it was, oh boy, they're in a world of hurt right now. Mm-hmm. It was actually that series was in July. My apologies.
Yes. I knew what you meant though.
Yeah. They fixed things since then. This is a different roster since that time. You remember going into that, the Yankees were playing awful baseball. They followed it up by losing two out of 3 to the Mets. They got swept in Toronto. It was not a good time. And they have completely righted the ship and changed things. Remember, at that time, Judge was not himself. Stanton was not at the Stanton level that he got to at the point that he got to in the season. You didn't have Caballero on the team yet. You didn't have Chisholm playing at his level yet. Like, there was a lot of things that weren't going on with this Yankee team that are now going on. Plus, I think what's key for this Yankee team is the series in September when the Blue Jays come to the Bronx and the Yankees take 2 out of 3, followed by losing the first game 7-1. They drop game 1 7-1, and you're thinking, oh, this Blue Jay team, they can't touch them. And then the Yankees come back and have 2 really good starts against the Blue Jays. I think that is also really key, too. It gives them a ton of confidence going forward. They know they can beat this team. And the key news to this series, and I think what really is going to kind of become the X factor in this series, Bo Bichette was ruled out for the series. And Bo Bichette for times this year couldn't, I don't want to say contend because Judge really had it controlled the whole year, but was one of the contended for the second AL batting champion title throughout the entire American League. He was that good this year. Average over 300, really had a breakout year for himself. And he's out for the entire series. That is a massive, massive, massive loss for the Blue Jays. I think it helps the Yankees out a lot here. I think the Yankees should go into this series feeling really confident. This is a different team than the team that played the Blue Jays throughout the entire year.
Right. The Yankees played the Blue Jays in the earlier part of the season, 1 2 out of 3. They played them in the later part of the season, 1 2 out of 3. They did manage to win 1 game in a series against them in the midst of that turmoil that they were going through, but they lost the rest of those games. It was just abysmal the way they were playing them. But like you said, this is a completely different team. This is a well-rounded team compared to what they were that 1-2 week period where it felt like they played the Blue Jays every day and lost to them every day in July. And I like what I see from some of these guys. You know, do I wish that they were able to score more runs against the Red Sox in that final game? Yes, because the 4 didn't feel like enough. And the way they got those hits were a little lucky for Yankees, unlucky for the Red Sox. But in the playoffs, that's what happens. There's a lot of luck happening in the playoffs. The margin for error is so small that any little thing can set a game off in one direction. So I like that the Yankees took advantage of that against Boston. That's a good sign. The fact that they didn't win on massive home runs, also a good sign. That they won in different ways, especially when they took the lead in game 2. Wasn't a home run. It was
they
Jazz
only hit 2 home
running,
runs in the series.
Right. It was Jazz running his butt off.
Yep.
So I just like the way this team looks. They're completely different. Toronto wanted Boston because they're scared of the Yankees, because the Yankees nearly overtook them for first place, because the Blue Jays had a 5.5 game lead on the Yankees. The Yankees erased it. Unfortunately,
2 weeks to go, by the way. There were 2 weeks left when they blew that lead.
And
so
it's funny how no one talks about that, right? Because everyone talks about the 7.5 game lead when the Yankees blew that from May 28th until July when Toronto overtook them. But no one talks about the fact that the Yankees nearly overtook Toronto, tied them. And if it weren't for the previous play, you know what I mean? Like, it could have gone either way.
I think that might have had a little more to do with the Tigers comeback, the Guardians comeback, just because it was such a big lead in the division that was blown, that like overshadowed the 7-game lead blown in the AL East.
Yeah.
I want to mention this. Cam Schlittler faced the Blue Jays twice this year. Now, the first start is his first loss in 5 games, by the way. So that was his 6th career start, but they won the first 5. So he was unbelievable in his first 5. That was the first time he ever really put up a stinker.
Yeah.
He went 1 2/3, 5 hits, 4 earned, 2 walks, just wasn't good at all. That was the first time he really had a stinker. His second time against them was the series they had, the last series in game 1 of that series in September. A little bit better. 5 innings, 7 hits, 2 earned, 3 strikeouts, 3 walks. The thing that they did with Schlittler, which again is definitely a bugaboo for him. They attacked him very early in the zone and they hunted fastballs. And his fastball is what worked in the Red Sox game. So he's got to be able to work his off-speed stuff, which could be the Blue Jays are a very good fastball hitting team.
Yeah.
They're a very good fastball hitting team. And the thing they do really well, which could be a problem for the Yankees, they don't strike out.
No.
Like ever. They put the ball in play all the time. And that the Yankees have to be on their mark when it comes to their defense. Now, I will say this. Since the Blue Jays remember that series that they played the Yankees in July, the Yankees were throwing the ball all over the field. They were tons of errors that
the 4-error game. Yeah, the 4-error game was there.
So this team is a lot differently defensively now at this point. I think that tends to give an advantage to the Yankees, but you have to be on your mark when it comes to your defense. The Blue Jays put the ball in play constantly, and they will not strike out. You have to be on your mark when it comes to the defense. The other things that are positives in here too with the September, I want to take into this September series into account just because it's the most recent, and it's a good mark of evidence for how the Yankees go up against the Blue Jays. In that second game of that series, Luis Gil, who is starting game 1, faced the Blue Jays. One of his best starts of the year from the numbers that he put up. He gave him 6 innings of 3 hit ball, 1 earned, 4 walks, only 1 strikeout. That's where you see with the numbers. They don't strike out a lot, but to only strike out 1 guy and only give up 1 earned is pretty damn impressive while walking 4. So he really did control the strike zone in that game without throwing a lot of strikeout pitches, which is crazy to really think about. Later on in that game, the bullpen, Weaver, Cruz, Bednar. That's what they went with. And it worked out. The bullpen gave up no runs, only 2 hits in those innings. The game after that against the Blue Jays, that was the 4-3 game where they held on late. Once again, in that game, Max Fried, 7 innings, 6 hits, 3 earned, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. So again, they don't strike out a lot. But after that, Williams, Bednar, perfect against the Blue Jays. So their bullpen actually, since that first series, has fared very well against the Toronto Blue Jays. It's just really that one Schlittler start, which wasn't good. But again, that was very young, very early on, hasn't really developed a lot in his game yet. It's very different. The players I would watch out for here, one in particular, I think is going to try and jump on the ball really early, and I think you know exactly where I'm going with this. George Springer. He historically kills the Yankees, and he is a dead first pitch fastball hunter. And you just have to be careful coming out of these innings where he's leading off and not trying to get by with a fastball. He will swing at the first pitch of the game at a fastball. You have to be aware of that. Because this is a team that likes, especially with them being home in these first 2 games, you really don't want game 1 to be a Luis Gil tries to get over with a fastball to start the game. He swings and puts one out on the first pitch. That place will be up for grabs. And I know it's the first pitch of the game. it can be hard to get back from stuff like that.
Right.
Because you get that crowd involved at that early. I want to ask you this. When it comes to that Blue Jay lineup, is Springer the guy that you're most afraid of, or is it more of a Vlad or a Kirk or other guys that have kind of killed them lately?
I'm more afraid of Springer, but it's Springer is 1A and Kirk and Vlad are 1B.
Okay.
Like they're not that far behind Springer, but Springer's the one that always scares me the most just because of the history.
One that scares me that was really good in that July series. Wasn't as good in the September series, but had a tremendous year overall for the Blue Jays. Dalton Varsho.
Oh, yeah.
Had an unbelievable year for them overall. Great center fielder. 20 home runs, 55 RBIs, had an 833 OPS. So had a really solid year for them in the middle of that lineup. And he hurt the Yankees a lot in that July series. There's a lot of guys like that on this team, though. They're going to put the ball in play. They're going to make you make plays. And that is kind of the formula the Yankees went with against Boston. They put it in, other than the crochet start, obviously. They put it in play. They made them make mistakes. And when they allowed Boston the opportunity to make mistakes, Boston did make those mistakes. Right. You just have to stick to that model. You got to make your plays, stay consistent, and you'll be able to get to them because their starting pitching is not that impressive.
Right. So here's the schedule. Saturday, 4:08 start, Fox. Obviously, they're playing in what the natives still call Sky Dome because they don't like Rogers. Yeah. So it's going to be Luis Heel against Kevin Gossman in game 1. And then Sunday, also 4:08 p.m., FS1 this time. No starters have been listed for 2, 3, 4, or 5.
It's going to be Fried.
Yeah, I would assume.
For game 2. It's probably going to be Fried. It's my assumption. Fried, Rodon, Schlittler, Fried. That's what I think is going to be the 2 through 5 starters in this series. Blue Jays. It looks like from what I'm seeing, Max Scherzer apparently it looks like they're not definitive on it whether he made the roster yet.
Right. I was thinking that. I was thinking.
So I don't know. He might not make the roster.
Yeah, he hasn't been good. He wasn't good in September. He had a couple of really bad starts in September to end the season. So I wouldn't be surprised if they don't have him in the rotation.
Yeah, those rosters are due tonight as we're recording, so they're not fully in yet.
Right, so we don't know the full roster, but we're just gonna.
I don't expect any differences in the Yankee roster. I think it'll be pretty much exactly the same as it was in the wild card series.
Except you have Heel.
Yes. Who
would be left off, do you think?
I'd have to look at a bullpen arm they added for no reason. They're not going to take Warren off. It's definitely someone that was buried on the roster that they're not planning on using.
Oh yes, there was someone. Was Brubaker there?
Yeah, like one of those guys is going to be the one that's left off.
That's probably it. So Tuesday is 8 p.m. FS1 in the Bronx, obviously, game 3. Game 4 is Wednesday, 7 p.m. FS1. And then if it makes it to a game 5, Friday, 8 p.m. on Fox in Toronto.
Yeah, that one's the scare. I'm surprised they let it wait till Friday. By the way, it looks like the Yankees, other than game 5, have released all their starters. 1 through 4. Yeah, so I'm looking at it online right now. The Blue Jays have not even listed a game 2 starter yet.
Okay.
So game 1 is obviously Gausman. It'll probably be Berrios, I would think, would go maybe in game 2. We'll see though. Game 2 officially is listed as Fried.
Okay.
And then it is listed as Fried. Game 3 is listed as Rodon. Game 4 is listed as Schlittler. So it's just game 5 they haven't listed yet. I would imagine it's going to be Max Fried.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see. I don't. Here's the thing too. And before we hit the break, because we desperately need to.
Yes.
The home field advantage for Toronto is it's going to be tough for the Yankees, and the Yankees. I think this is where their playoff experience really comes into hand over the last couple of years, especially playing those series in Houston where they have a pretty decent home field advantage too. I think that gives the Yankees a little bit of a leg up here in dealing with hostile environments. The Blue Jays have not dealt with that before, right. So I think it does give them a little bit of a leg up there too.
I would be really happy with a split in Toronto.
Agreed. I would like that.
Yeah. All right, don't forget, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button on our videos, hit the notification so you know when our videos go up. You can also join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club. For the listeners of the show, the link is in the description if you're watching on YouTube. Here is your QR code. Click on it. You know what to do. You'll get text from us. You can text us questions, comments, reactions to everything that's happening with the Yankees. You get top priority on Fan Mail Friday. We send out the lineups during the postseason, any roster moves that are made, breaking news, so you don't have to check social media. You can also join a private Discord where you can commiserate during games. There's a 14-day free trial. So coming up, we're going to talk about guys who we think could be heroes, who we'd
X
like
factors.
to be. Yeah, like the X factors of the Yankees for this series. So we're going to discuss that next.
This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. Every day we make decisions, but on PrizePicks, being right can actually get you paid. Don't miss the excitement of this football season with PrizePicks, where it's good to be right. Playing PrizePicks is such a fun and simple way to add more excitement to football. You just pick more or less on player stat projections like Josh Allen's passing yards or Saquon Barkley's rushing for a touchdown, and you're in on the game. I love how quick it is. You can make your lineup in just under a minute. My favorite part is that PrizePicks added the stacks feature, so if you want to ride with the player, you can add their passing yards, rushing yards, and touchdowns, all available in one singular lineup. It's also fun to follow other players in the app and copy their lineups with one click. And the new injury reboot feature, if your player leaves early and doesn't return, it won't count against you. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. So, Stacey, I wanted to go over the X factors that we think could be big factors in this Yankees series, particularly on the Yankee roster. When I say X factors, I don't particularly mean Aaron Judge or Max Fried. We know they need to be good. What I more mean are the players in the Yankee roster that you either need to keep their status quo or excel for the Yankees to be able to win this series. I'm interested to see where you go with this. I do want to just mention from the star players, because it might bother some people, Aaron Judge needs to stay consistent with what he's been doing.
Yes.
The home runs will come. I'm not afraid that he didn't hit a home run in 3 games against Boston. That doesn't bother me. He needs to stay consistent with what he's been doing. It's been a lot of contact, a lot of base hits, not a lot of strikeouts. He's been on base a lot in the Red Sox series. Keep that going. The power will come. That doesn't bother me. Giancarlo Stanton, exactly what he's been doing. When he goes up there, I don't care about the strikeouts. I really don't. Because for all those strikeouts, there's the double in game 3. And there are the big moments that he provides and the power on that bat. So those are the 2 guys. I want to bring them up, and it's obvious what they need out of Schlittler and Rodon and Fried. We know what they need out of those guys. But Judge and Stanton, those are the guys. I want to know a player from you that you think, A, was a surprise in the Boston series that you need to see keep giving that same effort, or a guy that you maybe could be coming out of nowhere that no one sees that you think is going to affect this series in a different way.
My guy is Volpe.
Keep it the same or improve, because he was really good in the Boston
I would
series.
say keep it the same. The defense was tight. He made a couple of good plays. Like he actually made a few good plays because Jazz was having issues throwing the ball to him on Thursday night. Like they kept going low and he was getting them. And the Devin Williams double play, jumping in the air for the ball. And I have to say, no one mentioned this, but nice backup by Jazz, because he went right behind Volpe just in case the ball was going behind him. So
lots of things in that. If I could just add in before the plays on the Devin Williams play on Wednesday, to get his foot down before throwing the ball was an excellent baseball IQ awareness play. Great job there. Also, the plays on Thursday, I was a little afraid watching those because the Red Sox players were running pretty hard and got good jumps on those plays. And Jazz was getting a little. You always want the lead runner, of course. But when you can't get the lead runner, you got to get the guaranteed out at first base. You can't and Jazz was taking a little bit too much of a risk on those plays, and then would realize, oh, he's closer than I thought second base, and he had to fire it really quick. That's where he lost control of the ball. Volpe was tremendous on 2 of those plays and saving the ball from getting past and ever. So those need to be noticed. He had an unbelievable series in the field. And the hitting, by the way, his at bats were a lot better too. So I agree with that completely.
Yeah, I think Volpe And I also think Wells, because Wells showed something as well in the series. And, I joked about it. I can't remember when. I was complaining about them hitting back-to-back in the lineup because they seem like a black hole. But in the playoffs, they both have had big contributions to the team so far.
You stole my thunder there.
I'm sorry.
Absolutely. No. Absolutely 1000% Austin Wells. The two of these guys throughout the entire season were nothings back to back. And Austin Wells is giving the Yankees absolutely no reason to play Ben Rice in the postseason at catcher.
Right.
That's what he's doing. And he's been a tremendous at bat. He had the massive hit in game 2 down the line. Game 3, he was really solid.
But even when he's not getting hits, he is like 8 pitch at bats, 7 pitch at bats, which is what you want to see.
The little hidden unknown, he called all of Schlittler's game.
Right.
So that he was behind the plate for that entire game, which is also a great sign too.
Mm-hmm.
The other player that I want to give a massive shout out to that has really improved in his last couple of appearances, Fernando Cruz. There was that little bit of period where he was dipping and wasn't able to throw a lot of strikes, and he's been great ever since that period. He is going to be a weapon for them in this series. It is matter of fact. A player that I need to see a little more out of at the plate, not in the field, at the plate, Trent Grisham. Trent Grisham did not have a good series at the plate in the Boston series.
No.
You need to see a little more from him going into this series. You're going to see not as many lefties, not as many power lefties, which is a good thing. And I'm not necessarily asking for power and clutchness out of Grisham like they got throughout the season. I'm just asking for more productive at-bats. There were way too many non-competitive at-bats out of Trent Grisham in this series where it was 3-4 pitches and he's gone. Right. You just like the Red Sox, except the Red Sox, the theme for that series was get to the middle end of their bullpen because the back end of their bullpen was elite. The middle wasn't good. The Blue Jays have nothing in their bullpen. Their bullpen is not good. So you need to get to their bullpen. Their starters aren't anything to write home about, but they're better than the Blue Jays bullpen. And I think the Blue Jays are going to try to stick to their starters a little longer because they have more faith in those guys than they do necessarily in their bullpen. So you kind of want to be able to play that game. But yeah, those are great guys that I think are going to need to have big series. 1000%. I also think too, a guy that plays a huge role in this series, Ahmed Rosario against lefties. He puts the ball in play. He makes plays over there. Guys that are able to fit in. And one more guy that I want to see playing every day, no matter who the matchup is, Ben Rice. Ben Rice, even if his average this year was 204 against lefties, he still has the potential to run into one and put it in the seats. And I don't care what his average is in the postseason. If he runs into one and puts it in the seats, that changes an entire game, an entire series, an entire whatever. You need to have him in every single day. No issues with taking him out post 7th inning to get Goldschmidt in for fielding. No problems with that, but he needs to play every single day. No ifs, ands, or buts. He needs to get 3 at-bats every day.
Yep, I would agree with that. So let's just hope that this continues into the Blue Jays series. Let's hope that the Yankees, after winning that 3-game series early in September, prove to them that they can play against these guys. I think they know they can. It's just they were in such a funk during the middle of the summer. It was just...
I don't think they were afraid of this team.
Yeah, no, they couldn't play anyone. So I really think Toronto wanted Boston because they figured they'd be the easier matchup, and they're a little afraid of how the Yankees have done basically since the beginning of August.
Well, I don't think I think they are afraid of the Yankees. And I think it goes to that George Springer thing a week or two ago where he's in the dugout and you can see, they're not getting calls going. And granted, the umpiring in that game was atrocious. And it was Blue Jays Rays, I believe. The umpiring was atrocious in that game. But he said in the dugout, and you could easily see his lips if you're a semi-decent mouth reader, where he says, if you want the Yankees to win, just give them the division, which again made no sense because the MLB was dying for the Yankee Red Sox series. The ratings, I'm sure, were outstanding, so that made no sense. But whatever. Oh
yeah, ESPN got like some of the highest ratings they've ever gotten in a
like Toronto wanted to play Boston. Clearly, they didn't want to play the Yankees, so it's very true on that side. I don't think that's and there's no shame in admitting that. You want the easier path, of course.
Of course.
So I don't think it's that crazy to admit that.
The Yankees were a lot happier last year when they saw they had the Royals and then they were playing the Guardians to get to the World Series.
Just at the regular season when you're playing, at the end of their season when they played really well. You don't apologize to who lines up with you and who you play at a certain point. That's who you play. But yeah, I don't think it's crazy to admit the Yankees had a pretty easy route to the World Series last year when they played Cleveland and Kansas City, who weren't world beaters, you know? But you play who's in front of you and you go with that route. And I think Toronto, yeah, they wanted to see Boston. Of course they did, but they're not getting that.
All right, well, coming up, we'll discuss the other division series matchups, the two in the NL and the other one in the AL, because if the Yankees make it past this round, they're playing one of those two teams. So let's talk about that next.
What's up, guys? I'm here to tell you about FanDuel, and now that the NFL season is here, FanDuel has an offer that you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 back in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put $5 down, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel, and I love how it gives me so many ways to play on my football Sundays. I've built parlays, player props, and even followed the live lines during most of the games. It makes watching football that much more exciting when you got a little juice riding on the action. Whether you're a casual fan or you just love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experiences so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com right now to download the FanDuel app today and get started. There are series in this AL and NL CS and DS that are good and series that are not good. I'll explain. Let's go to the NL first, because this one I think is fascinating to go out in the National League, because either of these series I don't think there's massive favorites. There's teams that you really know no one knows who's going to win these series. These series are both neck and neck. I want to start with Brewers-Cubs though. I look at this series and first of all, I didn't expect the Cubs to be here. I absolutely thought the Padres were beating the Cubs. The fact that the Cubs got through, it is a little bit of a Craig Counsell rematch revenge series, if you want to call it.
Yeah.
I'm very interested to see how this one goes, because I think Milwaukee is by far the better team. Without a question. They were the better team all year. They ran through the National League, but this is a team that tends to falter this time of year and has not been able to get over that hump over the last decade. And they've had a good team the last decade. Like, give them that credit. They've been really good over the last decade, but they haven't been able to get over that hump. And it's been a real bugaboo for that franchise. By the way, a franchise and fan base that absolutely deserves a World Series championship. That they are there for that team. They pack that ballpark, and that team is consistently good with refusing to spend money on players not named Christian Yelich. So I'm rooting for Milwaukee here. I love Milwaukee here. The starting, it'll be a 2:08 game on Saturday. Matthew Boyd versus Freddie Peralta. Really great matchup. Milwaukee is a favorite, not by a lot in this series.
Right.
Who do you like?
Oof. I think maybe this might be the year where the Brewers actually make it past
the DS,
the first round that they play in. Whether it's
interesting.
Yeah.
It really is. And you know what's crazy too? Is how good the back end of their bullpen has been after getting rid of Devin Williams.
Yeah,
Devin Williams and a couple years prior, Josh Hader.
Yeah,
they had such a good back end of their bullpen,
right?
And let those guys and traded those guys away to get more prospects, and they are so good at doing that.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I think they might regret going forward, last offseason, letting Willie Adames walk. That is one that might bite. They had a lot of guys that had good years this year, but that's a guy that always put up tremendous numbers for them, and they let him walk. And I don't know if that's the smartest move.
And he hit 30 home runs with the Giants, the first one to do it since Barry Bonds,
which is insane.
2004. They won 3 World Series in the 2010s, and no one on that team hit 30 home runs. That's crazy to me.
You know what is crazy too? If Judge would have signed there in the alternate paradox universe, he wouldn't have broken any of their franchise records for home runs.
No.
And he could have put up the same seasons that he put up with the Yankees. He would have broken none of the walk records.
It would have been like, oh, ho-hum.
Yeah. Oh, he finishes second. Like, do you see some of these where Judge broke the American League record for intentional walks in a season with 36, which is crazy because the next most is like 20. He shattered it. Then the National League record, for Barry Bonds is like 161 walks in this.
They walked him with the bases loaded. They walked him with the bases loaded.
Nuts. It's so crazy to witness. So, I mean, yeah, if he would have went there, I don't know if his accolades would be noticed as much as they are right now.
No.
Let's go to this series because I will say this. I think the winner of this series is going to the World Series.
Okay.
Phillies-Dodgers. It's a tremendous matchup. I think this is the first year in these two teams in the National League. Well, the first time we've seen them play each other in this format, in this era. But it's the first year I think the Phillies actually have a decent leg up on the Dodgers. The Dodgers came in as a powerhouse, but their bullpen that they spent a boatload of money on, it felt like they got every reliever in the offseason, remember?
Didn't it? Yeah, it felt like they got everyone in the offseason. It just kept every news day, there was like, oh, the Dodgers signed this guy. And you're like, how are they signing all these people?
Tanner Scott they got, Kirby Yates they got, they re-signed Trinan. They had an unbelievable season when it came to their bullpen. And yet, all of those guys had very bad seasons.
So Kirby Yates turned into Kirby Yikes, because I used to call him that when he was with the Yankees.
100%. Tanner Scott was nowhere close to what he was the year prior. Blake Trinan went back to what he was the first year with the Dodgers, not the second year. So wild. No one expects them to be as they won 93 games, but no one expected the Dodgers to be as bad as they were this year.
Fun fact, when I called Kirby Yates Kirby Yikes, his wife got mad at me on Twitter.
Boo-hoo. She'll get over it. I'm sure she got over it when he signed that contract and moved her to South Florida, to Southern California, and he signed a massive $50 million deal.
I think it's funny, but I understand. If I was a wife and someone was saying that about my husband, I'd be upset too.
Sure.
Yeah.
Phillies won 96 games. I think the Phillies had a considerably better year. They don't have Zach Wheeler.
Yeah, that's a big blow.
The Dodgers back end of that bullpen is really bad. And what doesn't get realized a lot, the Dodgers back end of their lineup is not productive. Will Smith is going to be out for this series. That's huge, losing your starting catcher. And their top end of their lineup, loaded. Teoscar, Shohei, Mookie, it's insane.
Freddie Freeman.
The bottom end of that lineup is not tremendous.
Like, it's not like it was last year, because last year was like the whole lineup. You're just like, oh my God, everyone's hitting everything.
It's not as relentless as it was.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you look at the Phillies lineup, and you've got Harper, Turner, Marsh, Bohm. Like, throughout that, Castellanos is hitting 7th this year. So that lineup is a lot deeper and a lot longer. The Dodgers are deeper in their starting rotation, right? Ohtani's starting game 1. Then they're gonna have Yamamoto available. They're gonna have all of these starters. Blake Snell with all of his playoffs.
Glasnow's pitching
again. Like, they have so much available. It's ridiculous, starter wise. I like Philadelphia in this series. Christopher Sanchez goes in game 1 against Ohtani, which, by the way, is Ohtani's playoff pitching debut. I like Philadelphia in this series. I think it's their time to get past. The grit is there. The years are there. And I think they're coming in a little quieter than usual. Philly usually comes in as this loud team that goes through the wild card. Or everyone's
you forgot to mention Schwarber.
Well, yeah, with the year that he had. I was trying to more highlight the guys towards the end of their lineup that make impacts that aren't the Schwarbers and the Harpers and stuff. Because I didn't say Harper's name either. But that lineup is so deep, and it's 1 through 9, that I think there's more of a chance. Now, again, the Dodgers can put up crazy numbers with the top 4 in their lineup with anybody. But the Phillies are so far beyond the number 4 hitter that I think it lends to being able to compete, especially against a Dodger team with a great starting pitching staff. With all these pitchers that are so good, there's no let up in the Philly lineup. So, I mean, Glasnow has to go through Harper and Turner and Schwarber, and then comes out for the next round, the next inning, and it's Castellanos, it's Marsh, it's Alec Bohm. It doesn't let up that lineup. It's JT Realmuto. So that lineup never, Trey Turner. It doesn't let up. So I think that creates a little more hecticness for a starter. Whereas opposed to the Phillies, they do have 2 really great starters going in this series, and Sanchez and well, I mean, you're going to have Nola at times in this series too, but you're also going to have Ranger Suarez. Their starters aren't as bad as it was. It was just a lot better with Wheeler. I like Philly here. I just do. I think it's their time. And I will say this before because we do have to get out of here. Mariners Tigers, I don't think is a contest. I don't know if I'm too bold saying that. I think the Mariners are going to sweep them.
Oh.
I don't think it's close. I think Detroit took advantage of a Cleveland team that shouldn't have been a playoff team. And a Cleveland team that wasn't supposed to be there and went on this. They didn't play outstanding baseball at the end. They played really good baseball. They did. But they played like a team that gets hot at the end. You know who had the same win percentage of them as the month of September? The Miami Marlins.
Right.
Miami does this every year where they get hot in the last month of the year, but it doesn't really mean anything because they don't get in.
And then they knock the Mets out of the playoffs.
You to have those runs in the last month because baseball's such a long season. If you're going to have a run like that in the last month, in order to catch someone or get back into a playoff race, you also need someone else to cooperate in falling apart while you play really well. It's not usually, if you played that well, you'd have to literally go undefeated in September. You need someone to cooperate. They got cooperation with the Tigers playing awful. And I think that had a lot more to do with the Tigers playing awful. And I think you saw in that series, in the wild card series, Cleveland's not that good. Their roster is just not that talented. And the Tigers just are built better. But I don't think they're built compared to Seattle. I think Seattle sweeps them.
I don't think it's going to be a sweep, but I think the Mariners are probably going to win. I think the Tigers will win the Scooble start, I would think.
I think the Yankee fans should get prepared to watch the Yankees go out to the West Coast. I think it's going to be Yankee Mariners in the ALCS. I think it's a repeat of 2001.
I hope it is, and I hope the Yankees win in 5 again.
That'll be a tough series, but yeah, that's how I see it.
I was at Game 4 of that series when Soriano walked off, and I literally said to my brother, "I haven't seen a walk-off home run in the playoffs."
And then he hit one.
And he hit one. My brother looked at me like,
"How scared of you were you of that Blue Jay team, of that Mariner team?"
Oh, I was scared because, 116 wins. The Yankees weren't that great in 2001, but, you had the whole 9/11 thing and they were just playing better than they, there was just some sort of thing that was happening with that team. There was magic with that team. And I was scared. And when they won in 5, I was like, what?
Also, breaking news as we're recording this, the Texas Rangers have hired Skip Schumacher to be their manager.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep.
That's interesting. Well, there's something you can talk about on game night.
He was the manager of the year in 2023 with the Marlins.
Yeah. Thank you for making Locked On Yankees your first listen every day. For your second listen, find the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night, every game, every night until the World Series champion is crowned. Get local analysis on a national scale. You can find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. So that'll do it for this edition of Locked On Yankees. I'm Stacey Gotsulias.
And I'm Brian McKeon. We'll see you guys after Game 1.